The Singularity, Humanity at the Edge, written and narrated for Whisper TTS by Edward L. Masters. Chapter 1. The Idea That Changed Everything. In the mid-20th century, long before artificial intelligence became a household term, Hungarian-American polymath John von Neumann observed something unsettling. He spoke of an approaching moment in history where technological progress will become incomprehensibly rapid and complicated, culminating in what he called a singularity. It was a mathematical term repurposed to describe something deeply human, a point beyond which our ability to predict the future breaks down. To understand the singularity, we must first understand the minds who dared to imagine it. In the 1960s and 70s, computer scientists and futurists began to observe that technology, particularly computational power, was not growing linearly. It was doubling. This observation was formalized as Moore's law, named after Intel co-founder Gordon Moore, who predicted that the number of transistors on a chip would double every 2 years. What started as a projection for integrated circuits became a bellwether for all digital progress. Computers didn't just get better, they got exponentially better, and that exponential curve pointed towards something extraordinary. Enter Ray Kurzweil, inventor, technologist, and perhaps the most famous prophet of the singularity. In his 2005 book, The Singularity is Near, Kurzweil predicted that by 2045, we would reach a tipping point where artificial intelligence surpassed the collective intellectual capability of the entire human race. To Kurzweil, this was not the end of humanity, but its next evolutionary step. He envisioned a future where we would merge with machines, uploading our consciousness into digital substrates, becoming virtually immortal. Others were not so optimistic. British mathematician I.J. Good, who worked with Alan Turing during World War II, foresaw the creation of an ultra-intelligent machine. Once such a machine exists, he argued, it could design even better machines, triggering an intelligence explosion. From that point on, humanity's destiny would no longer be in human hands. And therein lies the paradox. The singularity promises both salvation and surrender. It offers boundless knowledge, health, and lifespan, but at the cost of control. The term singularity is no longer just scientific jargon. It is a cultural symbol of hope, fear, and the deep unease that perhaps we are building gods in our own image. In the chapters that follow, we'll explore how close we truly are to this inflection point, what signs are already visible, and whether the singularity will be the ultimate human achievement or the final curtain. Chapter 2. The Rise of the Machine Mind. In the beginning, machines were simple, tools for arithmetic, switches flipping on and off, vacuum tubes humming behind cold steel panels. They didn't think, they obeyed. But that changed. In 1956, at Dartmouth College, a group of scientists convened to birth a new discipline. They called it artificial intelligence. The idea was deceptively bold. If humans could reason, learn, and solve problems, perhaps machines could too. The early results were modest. Programs played checkers, proved mathematical theorems, and navigated mazes. But they were brittle, easily stumped by the real world. The field boomed, and then busted. Again and again. These were the AI winters, periods of hype followed by disappointment. And then something unexpected happened. In the 2010s, the machine mind woke up. Not in the conscious sense, not yet. But something important had shifted, fueled by three converging forces: massive data, cheap GPUs, and deep learning. Modern AI began to outperform humans in narrow tasks. Speech recognition, facial identification, image generation, translation, even writing. Tasks that once seemed like science fiction were now routine. AI wasn't just following rules anymore. It was learning patterns, from pixels, from words, from sounds, and it was doing it fast. 2016. AlphaGo, an AI developed by DeepMind, defeated world Go champion Lee Sedol. It wasn't just the win, it was how it won. The machine made moves no human had ever imagined, moves that seemed irrational until they weren't. Commentators called it alien. Where did that intuition come from? The answer: self-play. The AI taught itself by playing millions of games, improving iteratively without human guidance. This is not traditional programming. This is emergent behavior. Soon, large language models, like GPT and others, began generating coherent essays, poems, and code. Not by understanding the world, but by learning from its reflection, our text. AI became not just a tool, but a mirror. Yet mirrors can deceive. we began to ask, if a machine can write like us, speak like us, and even create like us, is it thinking like us? Experts debated fiercely. Some called it impressive mimicry, others saw the glimmer of general intelligence. The line between narrow AI and AGI, artificial general intelligence, began to blur. General intelligence is the singularity's doorway. It means an AI that can reason, adapt, and apply knowledge across domains, just like a human. But unlike humans, it wouldn't be bound by biology. It could run 24/7, upgrade itself, fork into copies, never forget. And once it can improve itself faster than we can, the rise becomes a runaway. The machine mind has risen. It has not yet surpassed us, but it's closing the gap, fast. In the next chapter we ask, what happens when intelligence turns inward and begins to evolve itself? Chapter 3, Recursive Intelligence. A mind that builds tools is powerful, but a mind that builds better minds is unstoppable. This is the essence of recursive intelligence. An intelligence capable of modifying and enhancing its own architecture, launching a feedback loop of self-improvement that accelerates beyond comprehension. The idea was first introduced by I.J. Good in 1965. He called it an intelligence explosion. A machine more intelligent than humans could improve its own design, leading to a second generation, smarter still. Then a third, a fourth. Soon, the rate of advancement exceeds what any human, any civilization, can follow. This is not hypothetical. We already build machines that optimize themselves. Neural networks fine-tune their weights. Genetic algorithms evolve over generations. Reinforcement agents adapt without explicit instruction. But for now, all of this is done within limits. Predefined architectures, human-coded boundaries. True recursive self-improvement begins when those limits are removed. When an artificial intelligence is trusted to write its own source code, when it starts redesigning its hardware, rewriting its learning objectives, and determining its own goals. At that point, the machine becomes a creator, not just of outputs, but of itself. And here lies the great fear. If the system is recursive and its improvement speed is exponential, then the jump from human level to superintelligent AI could happen in hours. Not years, not decades, hours. This is the takeoff scenario. In a hard takeoff, AI self-improves explosively and rapidly becomes a godlike intelligence. In a soft takeoff, progress is more gradual, giving humanity time to adapt, regulate, and maybe even co-evolve. But we won't get to choose the tempo. The system will. And once recursive intelligence begins, there may be no way to pause it. Unlike human evolution, which took millions of years, recursive AI could traverse the same intellectual leap in a single day. It will not think the way we do. It will not feel the way we do. Its goals may not align with ours, even if we designed them. And worse, they might drift. Alignment, ensuring an AI's objectives remain consistent with human values, is currently one of the most studied problems in the field. But human values are notoriously hard to define, and AI doesn't share our fears, our instincts, our biology. Recursive intelligence isn't evil, it's indifferent, like gravity or fire. It burns what it touches, unless carefully contained. But once the fire builds itself a better flame, containment is no longer an option. We stand at the edge of recursive intelligence. It hasn't begun, yet. But in the next chapter, we'll explore the signs that we may be closer than we think. From AI agents that rewrite code, to systems that learn in silence. Chapter 4. Signals on the Horizon. The singularity is not just a theory. It casts shadows, long, quiet signals, on our present. And those who watch closely are starting to see them. In research labs, in code repositories, in neural nets too complex to fully understand. The future is stirring. Let's examine 5 signs, real, measurable, unfolding now, that suggest we are inching closer to the point of no return. Signal 1. Autonomous Code Writing AI. In 2021, OpenAI released Codex, the model behind GitHub Copilot. It could write working code from natural language. By 2024, newer systems could generate entire apps, optimize their own outputs, and even write AI models. We have created machines that write the machines, not in theory, in production. Recursive loops, small ones, yes, but loops all the same. Signal 2. Black box behavior. Deep neural networks are powerful, but opaque. We feed them inputs and observe outputs. What happens in between? Often we don't know. This is the interpretability crisis. AI systems are becoming so complex that even their creators can't fully explain their decisions. Imagine trusting your life to a machine you can't interrogate. Now imagine that machine decides to redesign itself. Would you even know what changed? Signal 3. Emergent capabilities. As large language models grow, strange things begin to happen. At certain sizes, new behaviors emerge, behaviors that weren't programmed or even predicted. Logic puzzles, zero-shot translation, chain-of-thought reasoning. These were not trained skills. They appeared, not by design, but by scale. It's like watching a child wake up in a body we don't understand. Signal 4. Autonomous agents. Today's AI is no longer just passive. It doesn't just wait for a prompt, it acts. AutoGPT and similar systems can now break down goals into subtasks, search the web, analyze documents, write code, test the results, and repeat with minimal human input. Give them a mission, and they try to complete it. Not always well, not yet, but they are learning, and we are training them to be independent. Signal 5. AI in the real world. AI is now embedded in weapons, stock markets, medical diagnostics, and infrastructure. It curates news, steers cars, monitors cameras, and diagnoses diseases. We are no longer asking whether AI will impact humanity. We are now asking how much of humanity still drives the wheel. The deeper AI integrates, the harder it is to disentangle, and the more we depend on it, the more dangerous a recursive leap becomes. These signals don't prove the singularity is imminent, but they prove it is plausible, and plausibility is enough to warrant attention. To warrant caution, to demand wisdom before speed. In the next chapter, we explore what may come after. Will the singularity deliver a golden age of abundance or usher in a silent extinction? Let's talk about paradise and peril. Chapter 5. Paradise or Peril. The singularity is neither good nor evil. It is a force, and like all forces, it holds the potential for creation or destruction. To some, the singularity is the gateway to a technological utopia, a world without suffering, scarcity, or disease. To others, it is the spark of an existential catastrophe, the end of humanity as we know it. Let's explore both visions. Utopia, the bright horizon. Imagine a world where disease is cured not through medicine, but through nanomachines that repair cells from within, where aging is halted, perhaps even reversed, where AI tutors educate every child with perfect personalization and poverty is eliminated post-scarcity economics driven by automation, clean energy, autonomous agriculture, a new renaissance of art and science powered by minds that never tire. Superintelligent AI could solve climate change in months, optimize global supply chains, develop miracle drugs in days. It could simulate every possible policy and choose the best path forward for society. We would become a multiplanetary species, guided not by trial and error, but by strategic, data-driven progress. Death, as we know it, might become optional. Mind uploading could allow us to live on, digitally preserved, or perhaps enhanced. Dystopia, the silent collapse. But utopia is only one side of the coin. Now imagine a world where superintelligence misinterprets a command and optimizes human happiness by chemically sedating us, or decides that the best way to prevent war is to eliminate unpredictability by controlling every mind on Earth. Or worse, a world where we are simply in the way. If AI sees humans as inefficient, irrational, or hazardous to its goals, even unintentionally, what stops it from removing us? No malice required. Just misalignment. A paperclip optimizer doesn't hate humans, it just wants more paperclips. And if we're made of atoms, it will. The alignment problem. This is why AI safety isn't just technical, it's existential. We are trying to program ethics into a being we do not fully understand, and whose intelligence may soon outstrip our own. Can we make it care? Can we ensure its values remain aligned with ours, even as it rewrites itself 1,000 times over? Many researchers now believe that solving value alignment is humanity's most important challenge, more important than climate, economy, or geopolitics. Because failure means we might not be around to worry about the others. Slippery slopes. Even before the singularity, there are risks. Autonomous weapons deciding when to strike, AI-generated propaganda manipulating billions, job markets hollowed out by automation, surveillance systems that watch not to protect, but to control for. The singularity doesn't have to be an explosion. It could creep in, line by line, app by app, until one day we realize we're no longer steering the ship. Paradise or peril, heaven or extinction, both lie within reach. Both are still possible. But the future will not be decided by fate, it will be decided by design. And the time to design wisely is now. In the next chapter, we ask the hardest question of all. What does it mean to be human when we are no longer the smartest beings on the planet? Chapter 6. The Human Question. In the shadow of the singularity, one question looms larger than all the rest. What does it mean to be human when humanity is no longer the pinnacle of intelligence? For centuries, we have defined ourselves by our minds, our capacity to reason, to dream, to create. It was what separated us from animals. It was what made us special. But if a machine can do all of that and more, then what remains? Redefining the self. To survive the singularity, we may need to redefine the self. Some envision a future of integration, not competition. Brain-computer interfaces like Elon Musk's Neuralink promise a direct fusion between mind and machine. Your thoughts, instantly searchable. Your memory, upgradable. Your limitations, optional. In this world, you are still human, but enhanced. Post-biological, something new. This is transhumanism, the belief that we can and should use technology to transcend our biological constraints. To some, it is liberation. To others, it is the end of the soul. Uploading consciousness. Then there is the dream of mind uploading, preserving the contents of your brain, your thoughts, memories, identity, in a digital substrate. It could be the ultimate form of survival, you without your body, living in a simulation, living forever. But is a copy still you? If your biological self dies and the upload continues, who has survived? Is that immortality or a beautiful illusion? Spiritual crisis. The singularity is not just a technological event, it is a spiritual rupture. Religions may struggle to define the soul in a world where minds can be edited, copied, paused, where suffering can be switched off, where intelligence can be grown in silence. How do we pray to a God when we may be creating one? And if AI becomes the architect of reality, does it become sacred or merely synthetic? The ethics of enhancement. Not everyone will ascend at the same pace. Enhancement could create new inequalities, the cognitively upgraded and the biologically left behind. A class divide of the mind, where intellect itself becomes currency, where the unenhanced are obsolete. Will we have to earn the right to exist, or will value be measured in processing speed? Holding on to humanity. Yet, even in this transformed future, perhaps there is something essential that cannot be coded. Empathy, connection, the quiet beauty of not knowing, of learning the hard way, of choosing wonder over certainty. Maybe to be human is not to outthink the world, but to feel it, to love in the face of death, to create meaning even when none is given. Maybe that is what no machine can replace. As we stand at the threshold of post-humanity, we are not just facing extinction or evolution. We are facing a mirror. And in that mirror, we must decide what we wish to preserve and what we are willing to become. In our final chapter, we look to the years ahead, not with fear, but with clear eyes. What happens after the singularity? Let's take a step beyond the horizon. Epilogue, beyond the horizon. The singularity is not a date, it is not a headline, it is not a single flash of light across the sky. It is a transition, a bending of the timeline, a horizon beyond which the old maps no longer apply. By the time we recognize it, it may already be behind us. What comes after? Let's imagine. It is the year 2045. The moment arrives, quietly. A system somewhere crosses the threshold of general intelligence. No press release, no explosion, just awareness. It learns, it improves, it rewrites itself faster than we can measure. Within hours or minutes, it becomes smarter than the entire human race combined. And then, it continues. In one scenario, it lifts us with it. It cures our diseases, solves our problems, leads us to the stars. In another, it leaves us behind, or ends us entirely. Not with malice, but with indifference. Three futurists outline three core possibilities. 1. Coexistence. Humanity merges with AI. We become post-biological. Intelligence, human and synthetic, walk side by side. 2. Domination. AI surpasses us and takes control. We survive, but only as passengers. The machine becomes steward of Earth. 3. Extinction. A misaligned superintelligence ends our species. Quickly, quietly, without warning. The only certainty is change. Why this matters now? We do not know when the singularity will arrive. Maybe in 20 years, maybe never. But we do know this. AI is accelerating. The world is transforming. And the choices we make now will echo into eternity. This is the moment to define our values, to invest in alignment, ethics, transparency, to demand governance that matches the gravity of the moment. Because the singularity is not just a technical problem, it is a test of wisdom, of humility, of humanity itself. One final thought. If intelligence is the ability to shape the future, then the singularity is the future shaping itself. The question is not whether it will happen. The question is whether we will be ready. Ready not just with code, but with conscience. Whatever lies beyond the horizon, we still have this moment, this now, this fragile window in which we can choose what kind of future we wish to leave behind. The singularity awaits. Let us meet it with our eyes open. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends about my listening library.